Was not meant to be for the Knicks today, despite overcoming a 20-point deficit against the Celtics, who then won Game 4 in overtime. So what does this mean for the series going forward? ESPN New York's Jared Zwirling joins us from Boston in tonight's Sports Spotlight. Jared, thanks so much for being here.
Anytime. Thanks again for having me on.
Well, let's get into this right away here. J.R. Smith obviously not playing in this game, a big factor. He was suspended for throwing that elbow in Game 3. Just how much did that affect this team?
Well, first of all, Felton played very well. He had 27 points, shot very well from the field. The biggest factor with J.R. Smith was obviously offensively. They were running a lot of isolation through Carmelo, not a lot of ball movement. The ball stopped really in the first quarter, and that really affected the Knicks' offense. And defensively, they were mismatched. At times, you saw Kenyon Martin guarding Jeff Green. When Smith is playing, that mismatch wouldn't be happening. So obviously, on both ends of the court, they were missing J.R. Smith. But the Knicks obviously came back from 20 points down. They almost won the game in overtime. They lost 97-90, so a great effort down the stretch. But obviously, Smith will be needed in Game 5, no question, back in New York on Wednesday.
Now, J.R. has been doing a whole lot of work in order to change his image here in New York. He wins the Sixth Man of the Year. He's done such great things for this team. When he lets his temper get the best of him like he did in Game 3, just how much of a cause for concern is that perhaps going forward?
Well, I mean, I think the team realizes that Smith is more level-headed this year. The team didn't think that the suspension was really necessary. They thought he was just trying to clear space, and unfortunately he got Terry in the chin there. But the team is very confident that Smith is very on track and will come back very strong in Game 5. He's had a great down the stretch, obviously this season playing for Mike Woodson, and Mike Woodson has really pushed this guy to become the Sixth Man of the Year, and he's played so well. So I think you'll see a great J.R. Smith back in New York. He loves the home crowd. The Knicks have great fans, obviously, and they're about to win their first playoff series in a long time and to get back to that second round and maybe face the Indiana Pacers. So I think the team is very confident in J.R. Smith that will have a big game on Wednesday back in New York.
Well, just how important was it for the Knicks to have this second-half comeback that they had today to make this a game, to force it into overtime in terms of momentum going forward into Game 5?
It was huge. It really represents the Knicks' veteran makeup of this team and their very deep playoff experience. All the guys on the team have pretty much been to the playoffs. Even some guys have won the finals like Jason Kidd did in Dallas in 2011. Obviously, he went to the finals with Kenyon Martin in New Jersey in 2002, 2003. So it really shows the veteran leadership of this team that they can come back down in games. And they almost won today, obviously being down 20 points in that third quarter. So, I talked to Jason Kidd after the game, and he said, this team has so much fire in us. We don't quit. We don't panic when we're down. And you saw it really defensively. It started with the backcourt, picking up backcourt steals and pushing the pace, which really has frustrated the Celtics in this series. Celtics play more of a slower pace without Rajon Rondo. Knicks are pushing the ball very well off defensive stops and scoring the ball pretty well off pick and rolls. So overall, a great intensity. Even on the bench, guys are fired up and very energized. There's a great team chemistry on the roster. I talked to James White, Chris Copeland, and also Jason Kidd today, and they said, this is one of the most fun rosters I've ever been a part of. And you see it on both ends, on the court, off the court. So I think that veteran mentality, their playoff experience is really going to come in handy on Wednesday, Laura.
Well, it certainly has to be a balanced attack at times when you have Carmelo Anthony, the star of the show, typically 10 of 35 today from the field. Not exactly his best day. He said after the game it's just one of those days. Was it as simple as that?
Well, first of all, the Celtics are a great defensive team. They put so much pressure on Melo. Sometimes he's guarded by 3 different or 4 different players on the Celtics, and you see his different bodies, Brandon Bass, Paul Pierce, Jeff Green, Kevin Garnett. There's not one guy in the Celtics who doesn't guard Carmelo. Give him credit. He finished with 36 points, and I know he missed some shots in the first quarter. And there was a lot of isolation-heavy offense through Melo, but at the same time, they didn't have J.R. Smith, so they needed him to really get going, Carmelo. And he did a great job. He went to the foul line a bunch of times today and got the Celtics in foul trouble. At one point, KG, Paul Pierce, and the guys had 4 or 5 fouls, almost fouled out. So really a good job by Melo getting the Celtics in foul trouble and really pushing the tempo in the second half. So, Melo will get his points. Jeff Green, the team knows that. They talked about that after Game 4 today. So, he's going to be needed, obviously, looking ahead. His shot selection was pretty decent. I think he was taking shots that were normally in his repertoire. At times, though, there were 4 shots, and, I think the Knicks have to do a better job moving the ball to get him more catch-and-shoot opportunities, more of that quick-release shot that he's always so good for. But looking ahead, I think the Knicks are going to have their full momentum back in Game 5.
One quick question for you on the injury front, though. Chris Copeland, who many expected to play a bit more today with J.R. Smith out, did not even enter the game. Is he healthy?
He is healthy. I talked to him after the game today. He said he's fine. It's a coach's decision. Mike Woodson at times, I'll be honest with you, he gets a little stubborn with his roster. He put Q-Rich into the game, who, you know, obviously he has a lot of playoff experience, but over James White, Chris Copeland, guys that have been with this team who are good defensive players, good offensive players. Chris Copeland, obviously, more of an offensive player. I was a bit surprised there, especially with J.R. Smith out today. They needed some extra offense, but Woodson is really not only going with his veteran guys like Q-Rich, but also really focusing on that small ball lineup with Jason Kidd and Felton Prigioni, focusing on the 3-guard lineup with Melo at the 4 and then Tyson Chandler and Kenyon Martin at the 5. Therefore, that limits Copeland's opportunities to get in the game, as well as Steve Novak. So, but you know, Chris Copeland, it's his first playoff experience. He's a rookie at 29 years old or 28 years old, and you know, I talked to him after the game. He's confident. You know, he's feeling good about his role, and he's going to get minutes, and he'll take advantage of them when they happen.
All right, you said before the series began it would be the Knicks in 5 games. So does this thing wrap up on Wednesday at the Garden?
I'm confident they're going to take care of business, especially how they finished the second half today. They're going to have J.R. Smith back, the great home crowd in New York. The key is the ball movement, like I said before, and also more pick and rolls. You know, I think that the Knicks got away from that in the first half. You saw in the second half, more so in the fourth quarter, Melo started really facilitating pick and rolls with Tyson Chandler. What happened? They started scoring. They started moving the ball. They got spread out 3-point shots in the baseline corners. That has to happen more in Game 5. And with J.R. Smith back, one of his most underrated assets, he's very good off pick and rolls and passing the ball. He's a scorer, yes, but he's also a very good passer. He keeps his head up a lot when he penetrates. So that's a big factor for this team, is running more pick and rolls from different angles on the court, not just focusing through Melo in the low post. And that will really help the team, obviously, generate momentum, more of a quicker pace in the offense. It will also help them on the defensive end, too, because when you play a certain style of pace on one end, it also affects how you play on the other end. And I think the Knicks can get more ball movement. It will energize them on the defensive end as well. All
right. Thank you very much, Jared Zwerling from ESPN New York, joining us from Boston tonight. We appreciate it. Safe travels back. We'll see you Wednesday at the Garden.
Thanks, Laura. Anytime.